They called it humanity's ultimate deterrent, a weapon so powerful it could crack stars and boil planets. For 30 years, the Helios star annihilator slept in the cold depths of space, a silent guardian that no one ever expected to wake up. But at 3:47 hours on a Tuesday morning, every alarm in the Sol system started screaming. The weapon was online, its targeting systems locked onto the Vorthak homeworld, and nobody, absolutely nobody, had given it permission to fire. The awakening captain, Sarah Chen, was drinking her third cup of coffee when the universe decided to end. The first alarm came from Prometheus Station's main console, a shrill wail that cut through the quiet hum of the night shift. Sarah dropped her mug, watching black coffee spread across the deck plating as red lights bathed the command center, in an ominous glow. "Report!" she barked, her boots splashing through the spilled coffee as she sprinted to the central command station. Around her, the skeleton crew of technicians scrambled to their posts, their faces pale in the emergency lighting. "Ma'am, we're reading massive energy signatures from the Helios platform," called out Lieutenant James Park, his voice cracking with disbelief. "The star annihilator is powering up, core temperature rising, gravitational lenses aligning, and—" He paused, his face going white. "Target lock confirmed. It's aimed at Vorthak Prime." Sarah felt her blood turn to ice. The Helios star annihilator was humanity's most closely guarded secret, a weapon capable of destabilizing a star and causing it to go supernova. Built during the last Great War 40 years ago, it had never been fired, never even been fully tested. It was supposed to be dormant, a sleeping giant that would only wake if Earth itself was threatened. "Who authorized the activation?" Sarah demanded, her fingers flying over the command interface. "Someone had to input the firing codes." "That's just it, Captain," Park replied, sweat beading on his forehead. "There's no authorization in the system, no human input at all. The weapon activated on its own." The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. An autonomous weapon of mass destruction had just decided to commit genocide, and they had less than 6 hours before it would fire. The Vorthak Empire, despite their aggressive expansion policies, had maintained an uneasy peace with humanity for the past 2 decades. If their homeworld was destroyed, the resulting war would consume half the galaxy. "Get me Admiral Thompson on priority channel," Sarah ordered, already knowing that her quiet posting as station commander had just become the most important job in human space. "And somebody wake up Dr. Rivera. If anyone understands that weapons systems, it's him." The next hour was a blur of frantic activity. Admiral Thompson's weathered face appeared on the main view screen, his gray eyes hard with determination. Behind him, Sarah could see the bustling activity of Earth Defense Command, officers running between stations with barely controlled panic. "Captain Chen," Thompson said without preamble, "I'm giving you full authority over this situation. The President is being briefed, but right now you're our only hope of stopping this before it starts a war." "Understood, sir. Dr. Rivera is on his way to the Helios platform now. If we can access the weapon's core systems—" "Captain," interrupted Communications Officer Lisa Wong, her voice tight with fear. "Long-range sensors are detecting multiple hyperspace signatures, large ones, coming from the direction of Vorthak space." Sarah closed her eyes briefly, feeling the weight of billions of lives settling on her shoulders. "How many ships?" "At least 50 capital vessels, ma'am. They'll be here in 4 hours." The Vorthak had detected the weapon's activation. Of course they had. The energy signature of a charging star annihilator was impossible to hide. They were coming to Earth not as conquerors, but as people facing extinction. Sarah couldn't blame them. If she were in their position, she'd do the same thing. "Admiral, we're about to have company," Sarah reported grimly. "The Vorthak fleet is en route." Thompson's jaw tightened. "Our defensive fleet is mobilizing, but Captain, we can't win a straight fight against those numbers. Not without using the star annihilator ourselves, and that would make us no better than the weapon we're trying to stop." Sarah nodded, her mind racing. There has to be another way. Dr. Rivera might be able to shut down the weapon from inside, but we need time. "You'll have it," Thompson promised. "I'll try to establish communication with the Vorthak fleet. Buy us whatever time I can." But Sarah, if we can't stop this weapon, if it fires on their homeworld, I want you to know that Earth Defense Command will not retaliate when they glass our planet in return. We won't be the ones to escalate this into a galactic war. The transmission ended, leaving Sarah staring at the blank screen. Around her, the command center buzzed with activity as her crew worked frantically to understand what had gone wrong. But deep in her gut, Sarah knew this wasn't a malfunction. Something, or someone, had deliberately activated humanity's most terrible weapon. Dr. Marcus Rivera arrived at the Helios platform 40 minutes later, his white hair disheveled from sleep, but his dark eyes sharp with focus. At 73, he was one of the few people alive who had actually worked on the Star Annihilator's construction. His hands shook slightly, whether from age or fear Sarah couldn't tell, as he accessed the weapon's primary interface. "This is impossible," he muttered, lines of code scrolling across his screen faster than Sarah could follow. "The activation sequences are all wrong. Someone has rewritten the core protocols." "Can you shut it down?" Sarah asked, trying to keep the desperation out of her voice. Rivera's fingers danced across the keyboard, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The weapon's AI system has been modified. There are code fragments here that I don't recognize. It's like someone has grafted an entirely new intelligence onto the original programming." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying the weapon is being controlled by someone else?" "Not someone," Rivera said slowly, his face pale. "Something. This code, it's not human. The mathematical structures, the logic patterns, they're completely alien." Before Sarah could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the platform. On the main screen, dozens of new contacts appeared at the edge of the solar system. But these weren't the expected Vorthak ships. These vessels were different, sleeker, more advanced. "Captain," came Park's voice over the comm, tight with confusion. "We're detecting a new fleet. Configuration unknown. They're not matching any known Vorthak designs." Sarah's blood ran cold as the pieces began falling into place. "Dr. Rivera, how long would it take for someone to modify the weapon's AI the way you described?" "Years of work," he replied grimly. "Maybe decades. Someone has been planning this for a very long time." On the view screen, the mysterious fleet moved with predatory grace toward Earth. They had played their hand perfectly. Activate humanity's most feared weapon to target the Vorthak homeworld, then sit back and watch as two powerful civilizations destroyed each other in the resulting war. "It's a setup," Sarah breathed. "Someone wants Earth and the Vorthak Empire to wipe each other out." Rivera nodded, his face grim. "The question is, who benefits from both our civilizations being reduced to ash?" As if in answer to his question, the lead ship of the mysterious fleet opened a communication channel. The being that appeared on screen was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen, tall and graceful, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer with its own light. Its eyes were completely black, without iris or pupil, and when it spoke, its voice carried harmonics that made Sarah's teeth ache. "Greetings, primitive species," the being said, its tone carrying the casual arrogance of someone addressing insects. "I am Nexus Prime of the Ethereal Collective. We have been watching your pathetic conflicts with great interest." "You're behind this," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the rage building in her chest. "You activated our weapon." The being's lips curved in what might have been a smile. "Your weapon. How delightfully provincial. The device you call the Helios Star Annihilator was built using principles we taught to your species through carefully placed discoveries. We have been guiding your technological development for centuries, steering you toward this moment." "Why?" Sarah demanded. "What do you gain from starting a war between us and the Vorthak?" "Resources," Nexus Prime replied simply. "Both your species occupy territories rich in the rare elements we require for our expansion. Rather than conquer you directly, a tedious process requiring significant resources, we prefer to let you destroy each other. We will then move in to claim the empty systems and their untapped wealth." Sarah felt sick. Humanity and the Vorthak Empire were just pieces on a game board to these creatures, valuable only for the real estate they occupied. "The weapon. Can you shut it down?" "Oh, but why would we do that?" Nexus Prime asked with mock surprise. In exactly 2 hours and 17 minutes, your star annihilator will fire. The Vorthak homeworld will die. The surviving Vorthak fleet will then glass your planet in revenge. Both civilizations will be too weakened to resist when we arrive to collect the spoils. The transmission ended, leaving Sarah staring at a blank screen. Around her, the command center had fallen silent as the crew absorbed the magnitude of their situation. They were trapped in a web decades in the making, puppets dancing to the tune of creatures who saw them as nothing more than convenient tools for genocide. But Sarah Chen hadn't clawed her way up from a poor mining colony to the command of humanity's most advanced research station by giving up when things looked impossible. She turned to Dr. Rivera, her eyes burning with determination. You said, the AI has been modified with alien code. Can we turn that against them? Rivera's eyes widened as he caught her meaning. If we could somehow isolate the alien programming and reverse engineer it, yes, theoretically we could regain control. But Captain, we're talking about technology centuries ahead of our own. The mathematics alone would be impossible for one person, Sarah finished. But what about 50 people? 100? What if we linked every computer, every AI system, every brilliant mind in the Sol system together? A slow smile spread across Rivera's weathered face. A distributed processing network. Pool our entire technological infrastructure to match their computational advantage. He paused, his smile faltering. But even if it works, we'd need time, hours we don't have. Sarah activated the station-wide communication system. All hands, this is Captain Chen. In 90 minutes, our world ends unless we do something that's never been done before. We're about to fight a war not with ships or weapons, but with mathematics and human stubbornness. Dr. Rivera will explain what we need, but I'll tell you this. We're not going down without taking a swing at the bastards who set us up. As her crew began the frantic work of linking humanity's computer networks together, Sarah opened another channel. Admiral Thompson, I need you to do something that's either brilliant or completely insane. The hunt for truth, Admiral Thompson's A. Voice crackled through the comm with barely controlled tension. Captain, the Vorthak fleet will reach Earth in 90 minutes. Their commander is demanding our immediate surrender and the shutdown of the Star Annihilator. What's this insane plan of yours? Sarah looked around the command center, where her crew worked frantically to establish the network connections that might be their only hope. We're going to offer the Vorthak something they can't refuse, a chance to help us turn the tables on the creatures who played us both for fools. You want to ally with an alien fleet that's coming to destroy us? Want to ally with people who are about to lose their homeworld to the same enemy that's trying to wipe us out? Sarah corrected. Admiral, the Ethereals admitted they've been manipulating both our species for decades. The Vorthak expansionist policies, our military buildup, how much of that was natural development, and how much was puppet strings being pulled? There was a long pause before Thompson replied. I'll try to establish communication with their fleet commander. But Sarah, you better have more than hope and good intentions. The Vorthak don't have any reason to trust us. Sarah turned to Dr. Rivera, who was now connected to processing nodes throughout the solar system. Doctor, how's our distributed network coming along? Remarkable, Rivera breathed, his eyes reflecting the streams of data flowing across his screens. We've linked everything from the quantum computers at Luna Base to the mining calculators in the asteroid belt. The processing power is... He paused, shaking his head in amazement. It's approaching the theoretical limits of what our technology can achieve. Is it enough to crack the ethereal code? We're about to find out. But Captain, even if we succeed in isolating their programming, we'll need a way to deliver it back to the Star Annihilator's core. The weapon's defensive systems won't let us anywhere near it. Sarah's mind raced through possibilities. The Helios platform was surrounded by automated defense grids that would vaporize any approaching ship. But there might be another way, a desperate gamble that would require perfect timing and more luck than any sane person would bet on. What about a quantum entanglement burst? She asked suddenly. If we could establish an entangled connection with the weapon's AI core... Rivera's eyes widened. We could transmit the modified code instantaneously, bypassing all physical defenses. But the power requirements, we'd need to channel the entire output of a fusion reactor through the quantum array. The Prometheus station's main reactor, Sarah said grimly. It would burn out every system on the station, but it might work. Before Rivera could respond, the main view screen flickered to life. A new face appeared, clearly alien, but not ethereal. The being had reptilian features with golden scales and eyes like molten amber. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of command and barely contained fury. "I am Commander Thex of the Vorthak Imperial Fleet," the alien said, its translator, rendering the words in clipped, precise English. "Your species has activated a weapon of mass destruction aimed at our homeworld. Explain this act of war." Sarah stepped forward, knowing that the next few minutes would determine the fate of two civilizations. "Commander Thex, my name is Captain Sarah Chen. Our weapon was not activated by human command. We are both victims of a species called the Ethereal Collective, who have been manipulating our civilizations to destroy each other." The Vorthak commander's eyes narrowed. "You expect me to believe that you have lost control of your most powerful weapon?" "I expect you to listen to evidence," Sarah replied firmly. She nodded to Park, who transmitted the recorded conversation with Nexus Prime. "This is the creature responsible for activating our star annihilator. They want both our species dead, so they can claim our territories." Thex watched the recording in silence, his scaled features unreadable. When it ended, he was quiet for long moments. Finally, he spoke. "The mathematical principles underlying your star annihilator technology. We have wondered how your species achieved such advanced gravitational manipulation centuries ahead of your apparent technological curve." "Because we didn't achieve it," Sarah said. "We were given just enough knowledge to build the weapon, but not enough to truly understand or control it. How much of your own expansion was driven by discoveries that seemed to come at just the right moment?" Another long pause. Sarah could practically see the Vorthak commander reassessing decades of his species' history, looking for the hidden hand that had guided their development. When he spoke again, his voice carried a note of grim recognition. "The hyperspace navigation breakthrough that allowed our first expansion beyond our home system," he said slowly. "The weapons technology that gave us dominance over the Krell Confederacy. The gravitational shielding that made our capital ships nearly invincible." His eyes met Sarah's through the view screen. "All of it came from accidental discoveries by our scientists. Discoveries that led your people to expand aggressively, making you appear as a threat to younger species like humanity," Sarah added. "While we were given just enough military technology to seem dangerous to you, they've been orchestrating this conflict for decades." Commander Thex's expression hardened with anger that Sarah realized was not directed at humanity, but at the creatures who had manipulated them all. "What do you propose, Captain Chen?" "Help us regain control of the Star Annihilator," Sarah said. "Your ships have quantum processors that are more advanced than ours. If we link your fleet's computing power to our distributed network, we might have enough processing capacity to crack the ethereal code and shut down the weapon. And in return, we join forces to make sure the Ethereal Collective learns what happens when they underestimate what humans and Vorthak can accomplish when we work together instead of fight each other." Thex considered for a moment, then turned to someone off screen. Sarah could hear rapid conversation in the Vorthak language, too fast for the translator to follow. Finally, the commander turned back to the screen. "Captain Chen, I am linking my fleet's quantum cores to your network. But understand this, if this is deception, if your weapon fires on our homeworld, the Vorthak Empire will not rest until every human world burns." "Understood, Commander. And if we succeed, the Ethereal Collective is going to learn why nobody should mess with species that know how to hold a grudge." The next 30 minutes were the longest of Sarah's life. Throughout the solar system, human and Vorthak computers worked in unprecedented harmony, their combined processing power focused on a single goal: understanding and reversing decades of ethereal manipulation. Dr. Rivera served as the focal point for the massive computational effort, his consciousness somehow expanding to encompass data streams from hundreds of sources. "I can see it," he whispered, his voice filled with awe. The pattern they used. It's not just programming, it's a form of technological psychology. They study a species until they understand exactly how to guide their development, then introduce just the right discoveries at just the right moments to push civilizations toward conflict. Can you reverse it? Sarah asked. Not just reverse it, Rivera said, a fierce smile spreading across his face. I can turn it inside out. The same principles they use to control the Star Annihilator can be used to seize control of their own systems. But Captain, we need to act now. The weapon fires in 12 minutes. Sarah turned to the communication station. All units, prepare for quantum burst transmission. Dr. Rivera, upload your modified code to the entanglement array. Everyone else, hold on to something solid. We're about to channel enough power through this station to light up a small moon. The Prometheus station's main reactor began cycling up to full power, its safety systems screaming warnings as energy levels climbed far beyond normal operating parameters. Throughout the station, lights flickered and systems groaned under the strain. Quantum entanglement established with the Star Annihilator's AI core, Park reported, his voice tight with concentration. Ready for code transmission. Fire, Sarah commanded. The station shuddered as every joule of power from the main reactor was channeled through the quantum array in a single, devastating burst. Emergency lighting kicked in as primary systems overloaded, and Sarah could smell smoke from burning circuits. But it had worked. The modified code was now racing through quantum space toward the weapon that threatened to destroy 2 civilizations. For several heartbeats, nothing happened. Then the Star Annihilator's energy signature began to fluctuate. The weapon's targeting systems wavered, its gravitational lenses losing focus. It's working, Rivera shouted. The alien control code is being purged from the system, but their celebration was premature. On the main view screen, the ethereal fleet was moving, their sleek ships accelerating toward Earth with predatory grace. Captain, Commander Thex's voice came through the comm. The ethereal vessels are powering weapons. They're not going to let us succeed. Sarah looked around her damaged command center, at the sparking consoles and flickering displays. The Prometheus station was barely functional, her crew exhausted from their desperate gambit. But they had one advantage the ethereals hadn't counted on. They had turned their own weapon against them. Dr. Rivera, can you use the Star Annihilator systems to target the ethereal fleet? The old scientist's eyes gleamed with righteous fury. Captain, I can do better than that. The same quantum entanglement network we used to regain control of. Our weapon is still connected to every computer system in both the Sol system and the Vorthak fleet. We can turn every defensive platform, every ship, every weapon system and 2 star systems into a single, coordinated fighting force. Sarah grinned fiercely. Commander Thex, how do you feel about showing the ethereal collective what happens when humans and Vorthak stop fighting each other and start working together? The Vorthak commander's answering smile revealed rows of sharp teeth. Captain Chen, I believe my people have a saying that translates roughly to, never corner a predator unless you're prepared to become prey. What followed was the most one-sided battle in galactic history. The ethereal collective had spent centuries manipulating other species from the shadows, never expecting their victims to discover their manipulation and turn it against them. Their advanced ships were powerful, but they were facing an enemy they had never encountered before. 2 civilizations working in perfect coordination, their combined technological might focused through the quantum network that connected them. The Star Annihilator, instead of destroying the Vorthak homeworld, turned its terrible power on the ethereal fleet. Human and Vorthak ships worked together with impossible precision, their movements coordinated by the same distributed AI that had freed them from manipulation. In less than an hour, the ethereal threat was eliminated, their survivors fleeing to whatever dark corner of space they had emerged from. As the last ethereal ship disappeared into hyperspace, Sarah slumped back in her command chair. Around her, the crew of Prometheus Station cheered and embraced, their relief and joy infectious despite the sparking ruins of their equipment. Captain Chen, Commander Thex's voice came through the comm. My government will want to discuss formal alliance terms. It seems we have much to discuss about our shared future. Sarah nodded, already imagining the possibilities. Two powerful civilizations, no longer manipulated into conflict, working together to explore the galaxy and protect other species from hidden predators like the ethereals. Commander, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Just promise me one thing. Next time someone tries to play us against each other, we'll remember what we accomplished today. Agreed, Captain. The universe is full of wonders to discover and threats to face. We'll do both better together than apart. As Sarah looked out at the stars, she reflected on the strange chain of events that had brought them to this moment. The ethereals had been right about one thing. Humans were indeed stubborn, creative, and dangerously unpredictable. But they had underestimated the most important human trait of all, the ability to recognize when they were being played, and the determination to turn the tables on anyone foolish enough to try.